Hello everyone, Nariman here, welcome to my channel. Today we want to talk about web scraping. I'm a huge fan of automating tasks using Python scripts. So if there is a repetitive task that the computer can do it for me, I would just rather to write the script, host it somewhere, and then be done with it. It's very helpful to have this skill, and it's not that hard. You need some basic knowledge of programming, a little bit knowledge about Python, maybe some information about how web pages are, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then you can start to build tools step by step. And the more you do it, the more you will learn. So I was looking for a project which is also interesting for me, so I can start to teach you about automation tools and web scraping in Python. And a few days ago, a simple idea came to my mind, which I think is suitable for starting it. So if you are into video games like me, you know that there are stores like Epic Games, which offers you free games each week. And if you also have Amazon Prime subscription, then there is this Prime Gaming website, which also offers you lots of free games each month. But the trick here is that you need to be quick. You need to visit these websites daily or weekly. And if there is a free game that you want to have, you need to claim it. So it happens a lot to me that I'm busy with work or with day-to-day life that I forget to visit these websites even for a month. So I'm always missing some very good free games. So I was thinking maybe I can write a bot using Python, which goes and scrapes these websites, and when there is a new video game, it's just notify me. This notification can be sent via email or Telegram or Discord, whatever you would prefer. So I will make a few videos on how we can automate this whole process. And during these videos, each part I can teach you something about automation with Python. In this video, I will specifically focus on web scraping. Web scraping is basically just visiting websites and gather information from them automatically. This can be done in Python in many ways. We need to just mimic the behavior of the browser. If you have any basic knowledge of the internet, you know that you just send a request to the server and then get the response and then parse the HTML in it, yes? So basically here what we need to do is to do the same using some Python script. For sending requests, we can use many libraries in Python. For example, the request library can be used, but there is a big limitation here. Today's websites, the modern websites, are not that static, you know, and a lot of the components are rendered by JavaScript. So if there is some client-side rendering with JavaScript going on in the web page, when you are sending the request with the request library in Python, the response that you are getting is not ready. And when you are looking for the information, you can see that the information is still not present in there. To overcome this problem, you can use Selenium. Selenium is an automation tool which basically automates any interaction with the website. It can open the website in a Chrome browser, and then it can click on menus, click on buttons, scroll. It can do basically anything. So for websites that use lots of client-side rendering, you can just open the website using Selenium and then wait for it to be completely loaded and then look for the information that you want. So we have two options. One is using basic request response libraries for mostly static websites, and the other one is Selenium for websites that have lots of client-side rendering going on. After that, when we got all the information in the response, we are dealing with lots of HTML. So we want to be able to parse that. For parsing HTML, we usually use Beautiful Soup library in Python. It will give you many abilities. For example, find this division with the certain CSS class, or give me all the A tag, which is like links inside this div. So you can easily parse the HTML and find all the information that you want from that website. So let's go and start some web scraping. Okay, so for the start, let's have a look at the project itself. I just made an empty project, and I want to first start by scraping the Prime website for the gaming. So there is just an empty Python file, and it's always a good practice to gather all your dependencies in a requirements.txt file in Python. So I'm guessing I will need the request Python that I talked to you about, Beautiful Soup for parsing HTML, Selenium maybe if the website has lots of client rendering going on in there. And this WebDriver manager is also needed to work with Selenium, because Selenium will kickstart a Chrome browser, for example. And if I need to set, let's say, some user agent, I will use the fake user agent library in Python. If you are not familiar with what user agent is, it's just basically the software that you are using to interact with the websites. So I'm just assuming that you are familiar with Python, but I'm just saying that if you want to install all of these dependencies, you can run this command pip install -r requirements.txt, and it will be installed in your virtual environment or on your local machine, wherever you prefer. I already did that, so we don't need to run this command. So let's go and also have a look at the website that we want to scrape. This is the Prime Gaming website. This is the address, and as you can see here, we have some games listed. And yeah, the part that we are interested in is the free games part. I don't care much about the cloud games or the other benefits that it offers. So what I want to do here is to scrape all these games, and then let's say send it to a Telegram channel or email it to someone or whatever. So the main focus should be here. I'm guessing this website should have lots of client rendering, but I will always start with the request library and see if I can get my information or not, and then move on to Selenium. So let's first try that. Also, if we need Selenium, we should also check that when we load the whole website, this information is already available, or we need to click on these free games first for this to be rendered. My guess is that when the whole page is rendered, this information is available inside the HTML, but let's see. Overall, also clicking on these free games with Selenium is not that hard, so it wouldn't be a huge problem. So let's go and start coding. Let's open this Prime scraper. Let's start with the request library. I will import the request, and also we would need probably Beautiful Soup to parse the HTML after that. So let's also import this one. What I want to do is pretty simple. I want to send a request using request library, get the response, and see if in the returned HTML I can find the data that I wanted. So let's define a variable for URL first. This is the website that we want to crawl, and then we can send the request a GET request basically to this URL and get the response. We can check, for example, if the response status code is 200, then let's parse the HTML. So let's say if respond.status code is 200, let's just create a beautiful SOAP instance, and it will contain the response text, and we need a HTML parser here, and then we can print the prettify version of the HTML so we can see what we are getting. Okay, let's run this and see if this is good enough. Okay, as I expected, you can see that we are getting a pretty empty HTML page. So possibly lots of these modules are being rendered by JavaScript on the client side. And you can see that there is not much information. So let's move on to our plan B and use Selenium for this. Probably we won't need the requests anymore. So let's remove it. Let's remove this import as well. And also this part. And let's see what else we can do. So first we need a Chrome driver manager to install the Chrome service and then pass this service to the Selenium. So Selenium knows to use Chrome for crawling web pages. So we need a service, and let me see how can I import it. It should be in Selenium WebDriver Chrome service, import service, and here we can do service, and here we need from the WebDriver manager Chrome, we need the Chrome driver manager. And here, as I told you, we use this Chrome driver manager to install the service that we wanted, and then we will pass this to Selenium. Now let's import the Selenium WebDriver, and here we can define our driver WebDriver Chrome, and we are passing the service here. And this is the driver that we can use to fetch websites with. We can pass the URL to it, and then in the end, instead of response.text, we can say page source and pass this fetched page to the beautiful SOAP itself. Let's run this and see if it's any better. You can see that the page is still empty. Why? Because the web page still needs some time to load. So we need to wait for that. We cannot immediately call this URL and pass the response to beautiful SOAP. The easiest thing, but not the best approach, is to use the time library inside Python. I can import time, and then here I can sleep for, let's say, 5 seconds. Let's run this one. Okay, now you are seeing that we are receiving a much more information here from the web page. It's lots of HTML here. So we can say that now we are getting the information that we needed. Why is this approach not that great? Well, because maybe one time your page takes 6 seconds to load, and then your current script would fail. So there are better ways. For example, we can ask Selenium to wait until a certain, let's say, component is present in the web page. Then we can continue the parsing. But what should we wait for in this web page? This is something that we need to figure it out. Let's go to the Prime website again. And what I would usually do in these situations is use the inspect element of the browser. I would right click on this area that the free games are and then use inspect. And then here I can see the HTML itself. And then if you move over to these divisions, you can see that it will be hovered, that how it is being rendered in the actual website as well. So what I want to see is the whole block that contains all these free games. When this block is present, then I'm pretty sure that the page is loaded. So like this one, as you can see, this one, which is a division with the class called offer list content grid, it contains all the free games that I want. So if I maybe move this a little bit down, when I hover on this, you can see that it contains all of the free games. So now we know exactly what we want to wait for. When the division, which has the CSS class of this name, is present in the web page, we are pretty sure that the information that we wanted is already loaded. So we can ask Selenium to wait for this component to be loaded. Let's go back and do this in the code. For this, I need to import the WebDriver wait from Selenium. From UI, I will import the WebDriver wait. And then I'm also interested in using something like expected conditions. You will see how will I use it. You can see already Copilot is suggesting me also the by keyword, which would be necessary. Yeah, that's the one that I want. Okay, let's define a WebDriver instead of this time.sleep, which is not a very good approach. I will ask the driver to wait, let's say 5 seconds until a certain element is present. For example, I can use this expected condition of presence of element located, and I want to look by the class name, by the CSS class name. So this one is also correct, but let's go back and copy the class name. What we are interested in is this class name. So I will copy that. Let's go back to the code, and here I will add my class name. And let's also break this line so you can see better. So what I'm doing here is I'm waiting for an element which is called by this class name for 5 seconds. If the 5 seconds gone and then this element is not loaded, we would still see some error. So you can define some longer timeout for it, but here for now it's 5 seconds is good enough. So this will not only wait for this element to be present, but also return it. So you can also store it in a variable. At the end, we can, instead of printing the whole page, we can print this element to see what it contains. Let's see. Let's run this project again. Let's wait for the page to be loaded. And now, by calling the text, you can see that we got all the texts that were inside this division. You can see the name of the games, that we're in the website and we are in the right path. The only thing that we need now is to only extract the name of the games and maybe the URL that we can follow to claim the games. So this is the actual information that we want, and then we are good to go. Here we can do two things. One of them is that, okay, we got the URL with the Selenium, and now we have the actual element that is loaded. So Selenium itself can parse HTML on some levels. So we can just use Selenium and that's it. We can extract the links and we can extract the name of the games and we are done. The other approach is that we will pass the page source again after the element is loaded to Beautiful Soup and use Beautiful Soup for HTML parsing. So Selenium basically offers a wide range of HTML parsing tools. So while we are using it, we don't need the Beautiful Soup. But in some scenarios when we have like complex parsing logic, maybe then it makes sense to use Beautiful Soup with Selenium. So I will show you both approaches. They are not that different. First, let's go with Selenium. So let's comment this part out and remove this. First, we need to move to the website and see how we can extract the information that we want. So let's go to the website. You can see that in this grid, when we move downwards inside the nested tags, there is always an A tag, which is for links. So it has a label with the name of the game, and then also an href, which is like a link to the actual link that we can claim the game. So extracting this information would be pretty easy. We just need to ask the Selenium to give us all the A tags inside this element, and then we can parse them and extract the name of the game and the link to the game. So let's go back to the code. I can go and ask Selenium to, I guess there is a find elements method, yeah. And I can say, not by class name, I want it by tag name. So I would say by tag name, and the tag name is A, which inside HTML, it means links. So I can store this in a variable called, let's say, A tags. And then I can loop over it. And I don't need this one. What I need is, I need the href, which is the link. So I can say A tag that get attributes. And then the attribute name is href. And then I need the label, which, if I'm not mistaken, was the attribute called area label. And in the end, we just print it out and we would say this label goes to this link. This is good enough. Let's run this one. Let's wait for the page to be loaded. And here we go. You can see that we are retrieving all the free games, all of it. And if we open a link, we can go to the actual page where we can claim the game, as you can see here. Let's also quickly parse the HTML using Beautiful Soup. Let's go back to the code. Let's comment this part and this part. So after the page is actually loaded, we are gonna pass the whole page to the beautiful soup, and we are done with the Selenium. So first we can ask for the division that is with the class name of offer list content grid. This we would call free games, let's say. Then in the free games, we want to find all the A tags. This we would call A tags. And then we can loop over the data again and then get the href attribute and area label out attribute and then print it out. Let's run this code. Let's wait for the page to be loaded. And then in the end, you can see that again, we have the name of the game and then the relative URL to them. So as you can see, HTML parsing is not that different in Beautiful Soup and Selenium. Sometimes when the parsing logic is a little bit complicated, maybe it's better to use Beautiful Soup. But other than that, Selenium HTML parsing is good enough and you can do anything you want with it. So I think it is enough for this session. We were able to crawl the Prime Gaming website and then get all the information that we need, which is like the name of the free game and the URL where we can claim the game. This is just a very simple script. It's not yet production ready. I will show you in the next videos how to make it more efficient, how to configure Selenium to do better. For example, right now, every time I run this, it's opening a Chrome window, which I don't want when I'm, for example, running it on a server. And we will also continue to make a functional bot out of this Python script. We still need this information to be sent to us, maybe in some social media or with email. We still need this script to be a recurring task, run in a specific time of day, for example. So there's still a lot to do. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Today we mostly talked about the web scraping part. We are now familiar with very useful tools like Beautiful Soup and Selenium. And we learned how we can automatically gather information from the internet. In the next videos, we will learn more about the web scraping, but we will also focus more on other parts and aspects of automation with Python. For example, how to make a task recurring, let's say how to send messages on social medias and stuff like that. So if you are wondering how this project will end up, please push the like button and also subscribe me, and see you around.